Good evening and welcome to PTV World Desk. I am Daniel Wawoso. FCT Emergency Management Agency has said the earth tremors recorded on Wednesday and Thursday in the FCT may be as a result of earth tremor caused by stress in underground rocks and may be due to rock blasting and mining activities in an area. This was contained in a statement signed by the Director General of the FCT Emergency Management Agency, Abbas Idris. Idris stressed that there was no need to panic as there is no likelihood of any earthquake disaster in Nigeria. Residents of Ipape in the Federal Capital Territory are still in shock over an unusual ground vibration late Wednesday and Thursday evening. PTV visited the community and realized that it was the talk of the town. Emmanuel Bagudu has all the details.
Ipape is a conservative satellite town on the edge of Abuja city center. It has unique hills and also houses a number of construction companies. But they seem to be having a field day here in spite of a deadline for rock blasting. That happened yesterday.
The thing is shocked me very much, too much. As you see the thing, I call my people inside town. Then say, do you hear this thing? Then ask me whether this thing they happen for this pipe. Maybe not blessing or maybe not something they happen. I don't know. But the thing comes upon my mind too much because my children they cry over. So I they happy. This thing will never kill anybody. They never spoil anybody's house. But I they pray this thing don't happen for this country again. I they pray my country to get power to state point left, like America, like England, like Chinese. But I they happy to this thing will never kill anybody.
It's more, the sound is more than a blasting sound. He shake house to the extent that if not God that is protecting the everywhere, I don't even know what will have happened next.
I heard something pass on my back. I thought it's this machine that vibrates rods. So when I turn and look, there is nothing like that. 2 times at the Ipape Junction when I noticed it.
These traders recounted how they had to close their shops in panic.
The blasting does not really sound the way it was yesterday. And it does not really happen one time, not twice. It happens throughout the afternoon time, then the night, the same thing continues. So that's really scare us. That we have to come out of our houses yesterday.
I was so afraid yesterday, thinking maybe the ground want to swallow us because the vibration was just too much. So government should try and check out what is going on in Ipape so that we'll not experience earthquake and the rest.
I thought it was because there were rock behind my shop. I thought it was a rock that like pulling down because the rain was falling and then maybe it was because of the soil lynching the soil. So I closed because I was afraid that the rock there might fall and then break my container.
But there are people with a religious angle to the tremor.
Before the rain started falling, I faced somehow. To the extent that I asked God, with this thing that is happening in Ipape, where will rain fall? How will we know what is happening? So I didn't sleep. Like seriously, before I go to sleep, I said my last prayer. I said, God, even if I'm going to die now, have mercy on me so that I will not suffer here on earth and suffer there. Because I thought it was the end. The last time is near. So around 3 a.m., it still happened. I said, God, upon the one will happen in the evening, it still happened this night. Does that mean it's true? The end is here. So, as in what I'm saying about life or what I'm saying about this thing that is happening, is something that will make us go close to good. Because we don't know when it will happen. Tomorrow, today, anytime it will happen. If it is the earthquake, if it come now, you are in Ipape, it will just take you. And maybe it will meet you are not well prepared. What will you say? How will you feel?
Companies do blast their stones, but the one of blasting is quite different with what happened yesterday. The one that happened yesterday is quite natural from God. We have never had a ground shock like the one that happened yesterday because we have the experience of the one for blasting, but this one is quite different with the blasting vibration. It's naturally from God. That's how we take it.
There was something like vibration, the ground vibrated, as in it scared me. Severally, it happened severally, as in when I went to sleep, I could not sleep. I had to wake up and pray I prayed almost 2 times because it's surprising. I've never experienced such a thing in my life. So I pray to God that He's the only person that will deliver us. He's the only one to help us. If not, I don't think the help will come from any other place.
At the moment, these residents are expecting immediate government action to prevent future occurrence. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
Over now to Liberia, where the authorities in France have detained a man suspected of being a militant commander during Liberia's first civil war in the 90s. The man, who police identified as a naturalized Dutch citizen, Kontike, has been charged with crimes against humanity. He's said to have fought for the United Liberation Movement of Liberia for Democracy and is suspected of torture, murder, slavery, the use of child soldiers, and cannibalism. Around 250,000 people were killed in Liberia's civil war in the 1990s, and many thousands more fled the fighting. Residents of Tripoli emerging from their homes to take advantage of a ceasefire between armed groups noticed one thing straight away. The militia had not withdrawn their heavy weapons from strategic locations in the Libyan capital. The truce brokered by the United Nations on Tuesday after a week of violence between local fighters has largely been observed. The clashes, which left dozens dead, pitted 4 big armed groups in Tripoli against rivals from other towns. The fighters had joined forces in 2011 to topple Muammar Gaddafi, but since then they have refused to disarm, using their guns to compete for access to public funds. But even as the ceasefire began, residents and diplomats braced themselves for more violence. The head of South Africa's Civil Engineering Institute has been sacked after he wrote that fewer women take up the profession because they are more predisposed to caring. Manglin Pillay said that women prefer to raise children than to be at the beck and call of shareholders. He later apologized, but said it had terminated his contract due concerns for its members. Just 5% of 6,000 professional members are women. South Africa's Commission for Gender Equality welcomed Pillay's departure, saying it would help the fight against sexism and objectifying of women. Boris Johnson, Britain's former foreign secretary, said on Friday he had separated from his wife, Marina Wheeler, and the couple will divorce, the Press Association reported. Johnson is the bookmaker's favorite to succeed Prime Minister Theresa May and is seen as someone who would lead Britain to a more radical departure from the European Union after being the figurehead of the Leave campaign in 2016. In a joint statement, Johnson and Wheeler said they separated some time ago and divorce proceedings have started. Johnson's former advisor confirmed that a statement had been issued on the matter. Russia's threat to the international community is real and active, the head of the GCHQ has warned. Jeremy Fleming's comments came after the US, France, Germany, and Canada agreed with the UK that Russia was behind the Salisbury Novichok attack. In a speech in Washington, Fleming said Russia's desire to undermine international law was brazen at a UN Security Council meeting to discuss the attack. Russia dismissed evidence presented by the UK as lies. Fleming, the director of the government's cyber intelligence agency, said GCHQ had supported police in a painstaking and highly complex investigation into what happened after the poisoning of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in Salisbury, Wiltshire, on the 4th of March. It's PTV World Desk now. We're going on a short break. When we come back, more stories to stay.
People's Television Nigeria has gone mobile. You can now watch PTV Nigeria on the go anywhere in the world. For real-time notifications, just go to Google Play Store if you're on Android or Apple Store if you're on iOS. Search for PTV Nigeria. Download. It's free. It's easy. And now you can catch up with the latest news, analysis, and political discourse on the go. So stay connected with PTV, Nigeria's #1 online TV.
Soldiers helping Nigerian soldiers fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have
said there had hardly been any administration.
Under the law, no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
Back. Now, the U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis met Afghan President Ashraf Ghani during an unannounced visit to Kabul on Friday to discuss prospects for peace talks with the Taliban and the country's deteriorating security situation ahead of upcoming elections. Mattis was accompanied by Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Marine General Joseph Dunford, who earlier in the week had gone to Islamabad with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on a mission to reset testy relationships with Pakistan's new government. The United States has withheld $800 million of military aid from Pakistan this year, having accused Islamabad of turning a blind eye to or helping Afghan Taliban and the Haqqani network fighters who staged attacks in Afghanistan. Pakistan denies doing so. Turkey and the Netherlands on Friday appointed ambassadors to each other as part of an agreement to normalize their relations. Turkey's foreign ministry said the two governments fell out over the Netherlands' decision to bar Turkish officials from campaigning among the Turkish diaspora before Turkish April 2017 constitutional referendum, when the Netherlands was holding its own elections. Turkey has been on a push to improve relations with European countries amid its worsening ties with the United States. Now, church experts say calls by a Roman Catholic Archbishop and his conservative backers for Pope Francis to resign could make it difficult, if not possible, for him to do so. Church experts say canon church law says a pope can resign, but the decision must be taken freely. In 2013, Francis' predecessor, Benedict, became the first pontiff in 6 centuries to resign. Benedict, then 85, abdicated because he said he no longer had the strength to run the church. Unlike now, no one had publicly demanded his resignation, which was a surprise even to top Vatican officials. In an 11-page statement published on August 26, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, the former Vatican ambassador to Washington, launched an unprecedented broadside by a church insider against the Pope and a long list of Vatican and U.S. church officials. He said that soon after the pontiff's election in 2013, he told Francis that Theodore McCarrick, the former Archbishop of Washington, D.C., had engaged in sexual misconduct. He said the Pope did nothing and even lifted sanctions that had been imposed on McCarrick by Benedict, the former Pope. In North Korea now, North Korea's Kim Jong-un has given his first timeline for denuclearization, aiming for the end of U.S. President Donald Trump's first term. Kim and South Korean President Moon Jae-in will meet in Pyongyang on September 18 to 20 for a third summit and discuss practical measures towards denuclearization. The summit could provide renewed momentum to talks over the denuclearization between North and South and the United States after Trump canceled a visit to Pyongyang by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo last month, citing lack of progress. The presidents of Iran, Russia, and Turkey are holding a key summit in Tehran that could decide the fate of Syria's last major rebel stronghold. There are fears of a humanitarian disaster if, as expected, a large-scale battle breaks out in Idlib. Earlier, the new U.S. envoy for Syria said there was evidence that Syrian government forces were preparing to use chemical weapons. Fresh airstrikes on rebel positions were reported on Friday morning. Iran, Russia, and Turkey have played central roles in the Syrian conflict. Turkey, which has long backed rebel groups, fears an all-out assault will trigger another huge refugee crisis on its southern border. Rescue workers with dogs searched for survivors on Friday in debris-strewn landslide caused by an earthquake in Japan's northern island of Hokkaido. Electricity was restored to just over half of the households. The death toll is put at 12, with 5 people unresponsive. Earlier, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said 16 had died, but Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshide Suga later clarified in updated numbers that 9 had been confirmed dead and 9 others were in a state of cardiopulmonary arrest, a term typically used before death is confirmed. Another 24 were still missing after Thursday's pre-dawn magnitude 6.7 quake, the latest deadly natural disaster to hit Japan over the past 2 months, coming after typhoons, flood, and a record-breaking heat wave. Nearly 5,000 Hokkaido residents spent the night in evacuation centers where food was distributed in the morning. And in Brazil now, the run-up to a presidential elections in Brazil was plunged into chaos on Friday after a knife attack on far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro put the front-right in intensive care just a month before the vote. Congressman Jair Bolsonaro, who has enraged many Brazilians for years with controversial comments, but has a devoted following among conservative voters, could take 2 months to fully recover and will spend at least a week in the hospital following the life-threatening injuries, doctors say. Dr. Luis Henrique Borasto, who operated on the candidate, said the internal wounds were grave and put the patient's life at risk. Doctors were worried about an infection since Bolsonaro's intestines were perforated. Still in Brazil now, doctors say the leading candidate in Brazil's presidential elections is in serious but stable condition after being stabbed by an assailant at a campaign rally on Thursday. The attack has, however, pushed an already chaotic campaign into further disarray. Far-right Firebrand's Congressman Jair Bolsonaro, a controversial figure who has enraged many Brazilians for years with divisive comments, but has a devout followership amongst conservative voters, could take 2 months to fully recover and will spend at least a week in the hospital. Dr. Luis Henrique Bosato, who operated him, has revealed that his internal wounds were grave and put the patient at risk, adding that the challenge now was preventing an infection. The attack on Bolsonaro, 63, is a dramatic twist in what was already Brazil's most unpredictable election since the country's return to democracy 3 decades ago. Corruption investigations have jailed scores of powerful businessmen and politicians in recent years and alienated infuriated voters. We go to another short break now. Entertainment and sports is next.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight
But
corruption.
we will have to persuade Nigerian legislatures.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have
There had hardly been any administration.
Under the law, no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
Welcome back. Now we conclude with entertainment, where a Turkish filmmaker was convicted on Friday of membership of a terrorist group for a feature film that portrayed President Tayyip Erdogan having a gun pointed at his head as his family lay dead all around him. The state news agency said Ali Afci was arrested last year after the release of a trailer for his film Awakening, based on a failed military push in 2016 in which more than 250 people were killed. The trailer caused public uproar, with sequences showing Erdogan's family, including his son-in-law, Finance Minister Berat Al-Barak, shot dead, and an army officer pointing a gun at the back of the president's head as he prayed. An Istanbul court sentenced Afci to 6 years and 3 months in jail for belonging to the network of US-based Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen, deemed a terrorist organization by Turkey. Gulen denies Turkey's accusation that he masterminded the coup attempt. That's much we can take on PTV World Desk. Do watch us live anywhere across the world via our mobile app. You can download it on Google Play Store and the iOS Store as well. It's PTV Nigeria. Don't forget to also watch us live via our website, www.ptvng.com/live. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter. It's PTV_NG. Many thanks for watching. I am Daniel Waboso.
Usual, I am excited today. Like, AY has done a whole lot for people. I'm not just his baby mama, I am his manager. And we all know that Wizkid had he had numbers of baby mamas. And
he said you don't need some leaders of the National Assembly.
The worst form of democracy is said to be better than the best form of military regime.
We are trying to build political blocks.
Just days after he defected from your party, I believe is the politics taking too far.
Members of the new board of Police Service Commission.
You know, the thoughts on the fact that his seat should be declared vacant because
we have some states that have experienced, you know, some level of insecurity.
The headship or the leadership of the Senate or the House of Representatives.
But I have gone beyond that now, beyond partisanship.
I don't think a lot of you know crisis in the embassy.
We know that the people of the country are getting more information about what is happening to us.
With what you know about the person, you will go ask yourself.
But one of the things I've come to observe is that
I'm Agberu. That made me like this Agberu.
He don't need PVC.
Eh?
He don't need PVC.
Jesus.
I was trying to convince him.
News emerged that Jones Abiri, a Bayelsa-based journalist, is out on bail.
And there's nothing, of course, that makes them to have this guy.
As a citizen, first of all, every citizen has the right. What is happening in society, what is happening everywhere around him.
From that day, Saraki knew that he was a madman in the APC.
He should ask these people who leaked the information. That is his business.
This is not the first time JSS was taking over the National Assembly.
It may be extremely very difficult to remove a Senate president.
But the question is the viability of most of these 91 political parties.
Of course, you can't prosecute without investigation.
It will be easier for you to have those people with the like minds to join you.
You're watching People's Television, your people's preferred station, powered by you.
People of Nigeria, I hear say don't back Odin. For my side, it good though as the banner, because even human being, you no go to the drink Odin. I beg, it good, make a banner. We don't want them again.
A lot of Nigeria youth that have been taken into codeine have caused a lot of havoc to them, even to the society in general.
The recent ban of codeine is very amazing because that will help the Nigerian youths to face the reality and know what they're doing. Because of then, man, people are taking this codeine and they'll be very slow, they can't even help themselves out. But now that it's banned, I think they have no way to find any excuse. So they will come out, do the right thing at the right time and work for themselves.
I feel happy about the ban of codeine in Nigeria because it has caused so many harms to our youth out there. They over-abuse it. For those it may affect, they can go for other alternative of cough syrup. It's not only codeine that is in Nigeria that is cough syrup.
To some extent, it's okay. In the sense that the abuse is getting out of hand. You see people taking codeine as if they are drinking water, which is causing health hazards to most of us. That, I say, is not good. But think about it the other way around. I need codeine to cure me of one ailment or the other. And for me to go and get it now from the pharmacy becomes a problem because it's banned. So what do you do now? So before the government will come out to say this and that, I think it should be better for government to find out the root cause of why these guys or these little ones, not even guys this time, even women, even politicians, they do it, they take it. Find out why they are doing it, especially those guys outside. Then try to sort out that problem so that it will stop. If you say you ban it, the effect will be on almost everybody. But if you find out the root cause of why they are doing it, it will help us better.
I think the recent ban of codeine is one of the most positive things this government has done so far. And it's a very, very good thing because it will actually curtail drug abuse. Because if you look at Kano and Lagos State right now, they're among the highest abusers of drug, and Katsina State is a very good thing for the youth, and it will definitely grow the level of efficiency and self-sustenance in the country.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tracy O'Connor, and I'm from Roswell Park Cancer Institute in Buffalo, New York. Breast cancer is essentially a disorder of cell growth that can happen in either the ducts or the lobules of the breast. Essentially, cells in the breast begin to grow in an uncontrolled fashion, ultimately gaining the ability to spread throughout the body. It's important that women notice any changes in their breast because these cancers can be very readily treatable if they're picked up early. The major symptom of breast cancer is generally a painless lump in the breast, although some women do have pain when they notice a lump. There can also be changes in the skin, either puckering or dimpling, redness of the skin, and sometimes a nipple discharge. In this environment, often women will have deformity of the breast as the cancer progresses. Unfortunately, breast cancers can spread to other sites like the bone, liver, lung, and cause symptoms including pain. When a cancer spreads to other sites, when it's a very late stage cancer, what we call a stage 4 cancer, it's no longer able to be cured, although it can still be treated or tried to be managed. So it's just really important that women are diagnosed early with the first notice of a change in the breast, that they report that to their physician, because at that stage they are highly curable. All cancers are diseases of aging. So as we as human beings get better at managing other diseases that used to cause our mortality, our cancer incidence is increasing. In the US, it's been increasing pretty rapidly as human beings age. As we get older, we accumulate many more exposures to things that ultimately can cause cell changes and cause cancers to occur. The major cause of breast cancer, the major risk factor for breast cancer is aging. But there are other things that are important. A family history can increase a woman's risk of breast cancer. If she's overweight after menopause, that can increase her risk of breast cancer. Many of the changes that happen as women advance in society are associated with an increased breast cancer as we adopt a more Western style of life. Things like having fewer children, being younger at the time you get your first period, being older at the time that you go through menopause. So putting all of these together, a woman can help with her physician determine what her risk is. Ideally, women will begin having mammograms between the age of 40 and 45, and we generally recommend that they do this once a year. But another really good screening test, if mammography is not available or is not able to be afforded, is for a woman to check her breasts once a month and to report any changes promptly to her physician. In the United States, even in a high screening environment, 40% of breast cancers are diagnosed by women noticing a lump in their own breast. It is not contagious. So breast cancer cannot be transmitted from one person to another. Some cancers do have the ability to be started by a virus. We've been talking a lot on this trip about the human papillomavirus, or HPV. This is a virus that's associated with both head and neck cancer and cervical cancer. And the reason we've been talking about it is that it is preventable with a vaccine if individuals are vaccinated before they become sexually active. So that's a very important public health measure that could be advocated for in this country. So if we catch it early, women are cured and they can live out a normal lifespan. So in the United States, 90% approximately of women who present with a breast cancer can go on to live a normal lifespan. So that's why it's so important to catch it early. I usually would recommend that people start with their primary care physician. Until a woman is actually diagnosed with a cancer, she does not need to see an oncologist. So following up with her primary care physician or obstetrician gynecologist would probably be a good option. So it feels to me from talking to women in Nigeria, there's a great deal of fear and stigma surrounding a cancer diagnosis. And I would encourage women to take control of the situation, to recognize that breast cancer is highly curable if it's caught early and treated by the right professionals, to check their breasts regularly and really to pursue cancer screening with mammograms once a year so that they can be diagnosed early, be treated, and go on to live a long and fruitful life. I think that the knowledge in Nigeria is actually very good. There's a lot of breast cancer here, and physicians certainly know how to treat it. The major barriers are the fact that many women have difficulty affording care. Sometimes care is unavailable, such as radiotherapy or access to chemotherapy agents. And there's a great deal of delayed presentation. So rather than presenting with a very early, very curable breast cancer in Nigeria, many women delay seeking treatment, either because they can't afford it or they're frightened. And when you delay treatment, that's when your outcome is not as good. So it's not as if the physicians here lack any skills or knowledge. It's that the system is working against them while they're trying to take care of their patients. It seems like the general level of knowledge and awareness is quite low in Nigeria among the population. So I think education is really key to get the word out that there is screening available for cancer, that it is not a death sentence, that with proper treatment and early diagnosis, this is a curable problem for people, and to support cancer patients rather than stigmatize the disease. People who are diagnosed with cancer need compassion and support to get through their treatment. This is not a contagious problem, and these patients deserve our care and support. I try to be very encouraging with my patients. We often talk about ourselves in oncology as being big cheerleaders. We're really there to support them, help them get through treatment, work with them psychologically, to get the right mindset to get through therapy. But in general, the patients that I care for with cancer are a lovely group of women who deserve the very best care. And the women in this country deserve the same level of care that we're able to give in the States. I would like to see better infrastructure and better support, some sort of public insurance program for the people of Nigeria, especially in regards to cancer care. My name is Dr. Tracy O'Connor. I'm a breast cancer doctor from Roswell Park Cancer Institute in Buffalo, New York, and I'm here to encourage you to get your health information from People's Television.
People's Television Nigeria has gone mobile. You can now watch PTV Nigeria on the go anywhere in the world with real-time notifications. Just go to Google Play Store if you're on Android or Apple Store if you're on iOS. Search PTV Nigeria, download, it's free, it's easy. Now you can catch up with the latest news analysis and political discourse on the go. So stay connected with PTV, Nigeria's #1 online TV.
Oh my God!
Election is when we elect our leaders who represent us, and election is my right as a citizen of this country.
Election is a voting process. Election is a voting process, like vote a candidate for a leadership.
It's not like my right to choose the country's leader. My own part to play about it.
Say from layman point of view, is any activity that is aimed at putting people in a position of authority.
It's a platform, an avenue for people to elect those or get into offices, those that they want to represent them.
An election is simple now. It's just people choosing one or two people. The society choosing a number of people to represent, to lead, to coordinate, to do administration. All right.
Now you want my trust once more. Before you can say, what an election is, there has to be an electorate. Somebody has to, vote, you understand, in an election for people of authority to get into power.
The vote is the power of the electorate. All right, so the people brings their power to the table during an election. That's what it is.
I think it's more like us having a say of who goes there to represent us, of who we talk to, that will guide us aright, and give us the benefit of that. Oh, let me not use the word a past one. Or give us the benefit that what we need is what we're going to get.
Between the electorate and the election itself, the electorate are supposed to willingly vote according to their conscience, according to what they feel that the capabilities of whoever they want to elect into offices can do.
The electorate, they have the power to elect their leaders because this is a democratic setting, and you know what the meaning of democracy. is democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So it is our right as the electorate to elect our leaders.
Only God can judge you now. Only God can judge you now.
Come on, you can't buy my right. It is my right as a citizen, and you can't buy it with money. No amount of money can buy it. So because by the time you sell your right to vote, you're selling your birthright. That's the way I see it.
I think that is laughable. I don't think, you need to pay to get my vote, but rather you need to earn my vote. My vote is free. I mean, I don't have to collect anything from you to vote for you. If you tell me what you are going to do, and I'm okay, and I believe that voting you, will mean realizing such aims and objectives, then I'll cast my vote for you. I don't need to take money to vote for you.
That's a lot of money. My power is all I have got. All right. So if it's like I'm selling myself to you. If you pay me and I give you my power, my vote is my power. So it means you are ready to pay a whole lot of money. It's like I'm selling myself to you as a slave. You have total control over me. So that would be difficult to sell, actually. That will be very, very. In fact, it's difficult to explain. Well, but it's also simple to explain. If I give you my power, I have sold myself to you. So why should I do that? It's my vote during an election is my power, is everything I am.
A matter of money, because it's about my generation now, trying to cause a change. There is no money whatsoever that, one has to pay to get the right leader. The money can finish, but when the money finishes, what happens? What's next? That's what we're looking at.
You can only offer me your conscience and nothing else. The conscience that I have to believe that when you get in there, you represent me well. I don't believe in selling of votes, and I can't do that. So my vote only can appeal to your conscience, and that is exactly what it is. If I find out that you cannot represent me well based on your antecedents, I can't at all vote you in, no matter how much you're giving to me.
I don't need anybody's money to vote. If I want to vote, I'll vote for someone I choose to vote for. Not because of the money.
See, all I wanna say is that they don't really care about us.
That is the bane of the problem, the bane of the issue here. Collecting money and then selling your votes. You're selling a whole generation of yours. Very wrong. So people should vote according to their conscience. No matter how much they're giving you, let them go with their money. Vote according to your conscience. And when the person comes in, he will know definitely that he did not spend any money. He has come to do work for you. And he will definitely do the work. But when he buys your vote, what do you expect him to do? Definitely nothing. If I come to you and I buy votes from you, you don't expect me to do anything for you. So if they should have any expectation on the incoming administration, they should, from this very moment, begin to reorientate themselves, begin to understand that once they say their votes, they don't have any moral justification again to ask for the amenities that these people are supposed to come in to provide for them.
They should know that, when you sell your vote, you shouldn't hold your leaders accountable for anything. Because at the end of the day, when they buy you, you are electing the wrong leaders. And it will in turn rub off on what will benefit our citizens of this country. Because what we're suffering from in this country is as a result of politicians buying our right to vote them in. That is what we're suffering from. So it should be discouraged. It should be discouraged.
If you look at the lifestyle of people who sells their vote, they are in complete penury, living in squalor. They have no hope. Leadership that continues to give out money to buy people's vote in an election will continue to exploit the people. They would continue to refuse to do what they should do. They would continue to keep back developmental project that is supposed to empower the people and continue to use them as piecemeals during election.
The common understanding is that once you sell your vote, it's like you said your future and you said the future of the unborn. Because one, if you sell your vote, the person who bought your vote from you bought it, with a price and his personal money. And he will have to do business to recoup his money. And by the time he's recouping his money, you will be the one to suffer.
Okay, you look at the children, you look at yourself. Are you really in the right place? Is the country in the right position? Can we compete with other countries out there? When you collect the money now and it finishes, what's happened next? So I think with that right frame of mind, people tend to think twice before they collect money, because at the end of the day, the money finishes, but the person is still there for the 4 years.
So you shouldn't allow politicians buy you over. That is what we are suffering from as citizens, because we elect the wrong people. So at the end of the day, they're not accountable to us. By the time they buy you, definitely they will recoup their money. So as a result, you will not enjoy any form of amenities. What they are supposed to do for us, of course they cannot do it for us, because they are like investors. You invest money, you want to recoup it. So you can't hold them responsible for anything.
Why you keep on deceiving the people, my brother, my sister?
When you get politicians that want to come into power by crook or by any means,
one thing is them having doubts, them not having the consciousness of producing results. When you won't produce results, you tend to pay for something. When they pay them off, they feel they can do anything there because you are being bought over, so you don't have authority anymore.
Of course, they are businessmen. That is what they are. Businessmen coming to sell, coming to buy. So when they come to you, tell them that you are not selling. They will definitely come. They don't have any other thing. They don't have nothing whatsoever to offer the country except that money that they have, with which they will come to buy your vote. And when they enter there, they don't do anything for you.
Why don't we work together so the future will be brighter?
Money politics is the worst type of politics you can experience or have anywhere in the world. So our challenge is actually coming to the place of realization, of understanding what you are, what you carry, and who you are. If we can get to that place easily, then all of this would not even come up.
People should begin to realize that once these people are voted in on the basis of having bought your vote, I'm telling you, they will not do anything for you.
As a nation, we should know that those who are buying votes in the first instance do not mean well for the country. And if it is possible, the whole country should revolt against them. Once you see anybody, soliciting to buy your vote, that should be enough reason to reject that person or that political party, as the case may be.
If you vote for money, at the end of the day, the person will be doing anyhow in the power, and you have the right to say anything.
The value of my vote is enormous. It's about the change I want in my country. It's about a whole lot of things, the generation at large. We're talking about what we want to see, the change we want to see in our country. Look at the Western country out there. We are not just closed. The education is down, everything is not working, so we need something to work in this country.
My voter's card has power because it is my right. It is my right, and nobody can buy it.
I dedicate this one to all of the shady politicians. Wake up, promise and fail, and they make the people live in harsh conditions. Yeah.
You're watching People's Television, your people's preferred station, powered by you.
Tribal mark is the scratching, etching, burning, or cutting designs, pictures, or words into the skin as a permanent body notification or modification.
The practice of tribal marks have been in existence for hundreds of years, and they are not peculiar to Nigeria, not even Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, tribal identification and facial stripes became important as many repatriated slaves later reunited with their communities by looking at facial stripes.
The major purpose of tribal marks is for identification of a tribe, family, or patrilineal heritage, symbols of beauty, creativity, and keeping of mischievous people alive, which is known as Ila Abiku among the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria.
Yorubas trace the origin of tribal mark to a certain king named Shango, who sent 2 slaves to a distant country for an important mission. When the slaves returned, Shango, the king, found that one slave had achieved successfully what he had been sent to do, while the other had accomplished nothing. The king therefore rewarded the first with high honors and ordered the second to receive 122 razor cuts all over his body, which was to serve as a punishment for flaunting the king's assignments.
But when the scars healed, the appearance of the face of the slave was remarkable, which gave the slave a greatly elegant look, which took the fancy of the king's wives.
Shango therefore ordered that cuts should in future be given not as punishment, but as a sign of royalty, and he placed himself at once in the hands of his subjects to get them out. However, he could only bear 2 cuts, and so from that day, 2 cuts on the arm have been a sign of royalty. This then introduced various other cuts as marks to different tribes.
In traditional Yoruba societies, every child is born into a patrilineal clan called Idile Baba in Yoruba language. The clans share clan names, Orile or Oriki, which means poetry or taboos, Ewo, and facial marks, Ila.
The facial marks on the child assigns the child full clan membership rights. The children with facial marks are called Okola. Families or individuals lacking the normal features consistent with the tribe are not considered as acquiring full standing as agents in Yoruba society. They would also lack the capacity for meaningful behavior such as greeting.
Each tribe of the Yoruba ethnic group had different inscription patterns which appears in different sizes and shapes at different locations within the face or body. The location and position of the mark's inscription depends on the tribe and culture. The tribal marks could be inscribed on the breast, arm, lap, or buttocks, but they are usually on the face.
Popular among the Yoruba tribal marks are Bele. The Bele style is 3 longitudinal lines inscribed on the cheeks. The variant includes Bele Ife. It is peculiar to the Ile Ife people. Bele Ijebu and Bele Ijesha are other variants of Bele. Owu tribal marks consist of 6 incisions on each side of the cheeks and peculiar to the indigenes of Owu, an historical city in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State, Nigeria. The Owu tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Gombo style, also known as Keke, consists of multiple straight and curved lines about a half an inch apart inscribed on the cheeks on both sides of the mouth. Indigenes of Ogbomoso in Oyo State are usually identified by the Gombo or Keke style of tribal marks.
Abaja can be both a basic and also a complex style. It is basic from its either 3 or 4 horizontal stripes on the cheeks. The Abaja style also consists of 12 horizontal lines, 6 lines per cheek. It is often referred to as Abaja Alaafin Mefa. The Abaja style of Yoruba tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Lamidi Adeyemi II. The Alaafin Oyo. Other Yoruba tribal marks include Ture, Mande, Bamu, and Jangbadi.
The use of tribal mark as a means of identification and beautification among the Yoruba tribe is no longer a norm, and some Yoruba states have enacted certain laws that prohibit the use of marks. Violators of the law are liable to fines or imprisonment or both. In Oyo State, for example, the prohibition of tribal marks is an integral part of the state's child rights law, a law that imposes a fine of 1 month imprisonment or both for violation. According to the law, no person shall tattoo or make a skin mark or cause any tattoo or skin mark to be made on a child.
Prominent people with tribal marks include
Hello and welcome to PTV Today. I am Aisha Jibrin. FCT Emergency Management Agency says there's no likelihood of earthquake within the territory and the country. This is in the aftermath of reports of early earth tremor in Pape and some parts of the capital city in recent days. FCT residents were alarmed by the sudden shake of the earth in the affected areas, which was the first experience in many years. But the Director General of the agency, Abbas Idris, insisted that there is no cause for alarm. According to him, the earth shaking around Pape and some parts of Maitama district does not imply that the FCT and indeed the country is under the threat of earthquake. He added that the agency is in firm control of the situation. The tremor instilled fear in the residents, resulting in confusion about the cause of the terrific happening around them. Residents of the Mpape in Federal Capital Territory are still in shock over an unusual ground vibration late Wednesday and Thursday evening. PTV visited the community and realized that it was the talk of the town.
Mpape is a conservative satellite town on the edge of Abuja city center. It has unique hills and also houses a number of construction companies. But they seem to be having a field day here in spite of a deadline for rock blasting. On Wednesday night, there was what appears like an earth tremor. Some residents attributed it to activities of construction companies, but others are just confused. Right behind me shows the natural endowment Pape has, and of course miners, construction companies take advantage of these kind of features, to explore their constructions. Now residents open up to tell us their experience about the vibration that happened yesterday.
The thing is shocked me very much, too much. As you see the thing, I call my people inside town. Then say, do you hear this thing? Then ask me whether this thing they happen for this Pape. Maybe na blessing or maybe na something they happen. I don't know. But the thing comes upon my mind too much because my children they cry over. So I they happy. This thing will never kill anybody. They never spoil anybody's house. But I they pray this thing don't happen for this country again. I they pray my country to get power to state point left. Like America, like England, like Chinese. But are they happy to this thing? We never kill anybody.
It's more, the sound is more than a blasting sound. He shake house to the extent that if not God that is protecting the everywhere, I don't even know what will have happened next.
I had something pass on my back. I thought it's this machine that vibrates. So when I turn and look, there is nothing like that. 2 times at the Pape Junction when I noticed it.
These traders recounted how they had to close their shops in panic.
The blasting does not really sound the way it was yesterday. And it does not really happen one time, not twice. It happens throughout the afternoon time, then the night, the same thing continues. So that really scare us, that we have to come out of our houses yesterday.
I was so afraid yesterday, thinking maybe the ground want to swallow us because the vibration was just too much. So government should try and check out what is going on in Pape so that we will not experience earthquake and the rest.
I thought it was because there were rock behind my shop. I thought it was a rock that like pulling down because the rain was falling and then maybe it was because of the soil lynching the soil. So I closed because I was afraid that the rock there might fall and then break my container.
But there are people with a religious angle to the tremor.
Before the rain started falling, I felt somehow.
To the extent that I asked God, with this thing that is happening in Papi, where will rain fall? How will we know what is happening? So I didn't sleep. Like seriously, before I go to sleep, I said my last prayer. I said, God, even if I'm going to die now, have mercy on me so that I will not suffer here on earth and suffer there. Because I thought it was the end. The last time is near. So around 3 a.m., it still happened. I said, God, upon the one will happen in the evening, it still happened this night. Does that mean it's true? The hand is here. So, as in what I'm saying about life, or what I'm saying about this thing that is happening, is something that will make us go close to good. Because we don't know when it will happen. Tomorrow, today, anytime it will happen. If it is the earthquake, if it come now, you are in Pape, it will just take you. And maybe it will meet you are not well prepared. What will you say? How will you feel?
Companies do blast their stones, but the one of blasting is quite different with what happened yesterday. The one that happened yesterday is quite natural from God. We have never had a ground shock like the one that happened yesterday, because we have the experience of the one for blasting, but this one is quite different with the blasting vibration. It's naturally from God. That's how we take it.
There was something like vibration. The ground vibrated, as in it scared me. Severally, it happened severally, as in when I went to sleep, I could not sleep. I had to wake up and pray. I prayed almost 2 times because it's surprising. I've never experienced such a thing in my life. So I prayed to God that He's the only person that will deliver us. He's the only one to help us. If not, I don't think it will. The help will come from any other place.
At the moment, these residents are expecting immediate government action to prevent future occurrence. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian authorities have rolled out implementation plan for the Paris Agreement on climate change. Minister of State for Environment Ibrahim Jibril made this known at the Abuja Climate Summit. The Paris Agreement suggests that Nigeria should ensure 20% reduction of greenhouse gases. Minister was represented by Inyobong Abila, a Deputy Director of Climate Change. He said the plan is on course. Some communities in Ikorodu area of Lagos State have been cut off from the rest of the state. This follows a 3-hour early morning rainfall which rendered the road leading to the area impassable. Motorists plying the Agric Isawo Airport Road had difficulty either coming out or going into the 3 communities because of the flooded road. Commuters using tricycle and motorcycles were forced to disembark and wade through the water to board vehicles at the other end to get to their destinations. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is concerned over what it described as bad conduct of some political parties. This, he says, is really biting hard on the finances. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakub disclosed at a consultative meeting with political parties that, in reference to the 680 inter-party court cases it had to contend with since 2015. More details of this will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. Members of the All Progressive Congress in Kaduna are divided over the mode of choosing the party's candidates for elective offices. While the State Executive Committee is keen on indirect primaries, some party members are insisting on direct primaries. The excuses offered by the party executive include high costs of conducting direct primaries and the absence of a comprehensive membership register. Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola has appointed Abdulrazak Sanisile as the new Chief of Staff. The media aide to Governor Aregbesola, Shola Fasure, made this known on Thursday in Osogbo. Fasure said the appointment was approved during the State Executive Council meeting, adding that the new Chief of Staff was sworn in immediately. Sanisile replaced Boyega Oyetola, who is now the All Progressive Congress candidate for the September 22nd governorship elections in the state. INEC has warned that it will be on the lookout for vote buyers in September 22nd Osun governorship election. The Commission Chairman Mahmoud Yakub made this known at a consultative meeting with participating political parties on Friday. According to Mahmood, INEC would be on the lookout for parties seeking to buy votes during the election. A loose coalition of political parties has launched a campaign against vote buying targeted at presidential aspirants. The self-styled West African Association of Political Parties says the act will be a thing of the past if the electoral body adopts the open ballot system. He spoke on the sidelines of a political event in Abuja.
It is a political forum targeted at presidential aspirants. The organizers say it is a platform to hear directly from presidential candidates.
The idea is to bring presidential candidates to meet with political parties and civil society and other Nigerians, to interact with them, to tell them who they are, what they intend to do when they are elected into office, and people will be free to ask them questions in an unbiased manner. And today is the first one we are taking. We do hope that all the presidential candidates of registered political parties will avail themselves the opportunity to participate in this presidential platform, which is an interactive session between the press, the politicians, and the civil society.
The maiden edition is devoted to vote buying. And on the hot seat is Johnson Edosonwa, who is confident he can turn around the Nigerian system.
Running as a candidate for the presidency of the Republic of Nigeria. One, I have a vision that we need to create an effective democratic system. One that basically have a multi-dimensional economy more than oil. Over the past 40 years or 50 years, we have been one nation that supports itself by the drilling of oil. And even where the oil comes from, people don't have good schools, they don't have hospitals, and they don't even have, good housing as well. But as a candidate, I come to bring the best practices of what I've learned in the world to create millions of jobs. We want to be able to address over 39 million youth that have been suffering. They are not lazy. Our youth are the most energetic people. I was once a youth, but they have the power to be able to become the leaders of tomorrow.
Vote buying, the name has changed. But you remember in those days they give rice, they give salt, they give wrapper. There's also ways of inducement. But because of the fact that the high level of poverty in Nigeria, there is hardship in the nation, people now use it as a deliberate way to make money on election day. Before, it wasn't like that. People will come, invite you, give you drink, give you rice to share before the election. But today, people will come with trucks of money to a polling unit, and as you vote, you show people. And we have devised some steps. The open secret ballot, as espoused in the Electoral Act of Nigeria, gives INEC to provide cubicles so that no other person sees who you are voting.
Stakeholders at this forum plan to engage INEC on the best way to eliminate vote buying in Nigeria. Francis Atuko, PTV News, Abuja.
Nigeria's main opposition party wants the Independent National Electoral Commission to sanction President Muhammadu Buhari for violating provisions of the Electoral Act. A group known as the National Consolidation Ambassador Network had bought nomination form for the president after presenting a check of 45 million naira to the APC chairman, Adams Oshomole. What PDP said through its spokesman, Kola Ologbodinyo, that the statement and that the Act contravenes Section 91, subsection 9 of the Electoral Act, which says, quote, no individual or other entity shall donate more than 1 million naira to any candidate, unquote. The party added that it was a gimmick by the president to show that he could not purchase the form in spite of the affluence his family lives in. On Nigerian insurgency, the army authorities said troops have killed media. Police spokesman Jimoh Moshood disclosed that the action was because the police authorities did not authorize the search on the home of the elder statesman. 4 police operatives had raided Clark's home in Asokoro on the grounds that they were looking for illicit weapons which the elder statesman allegedly stockpiled at his residence. While Clark denied the allegations and demanded an immediate apology. Inspector General Ibrahim Idris immediately distanced himself from the raid and sent top-level police officers, including the Deputy Inspector General, to apologize to Clark at his residence. The government of Benue State have been commended for upgrading facilities at Government College Makurdi. The commendation came after the national president of the College Old Boys Association, Ayuba Dalop, presented over 60 mattresses donated to the college. A new police commissioner has assumed office in Benue State. He is Okon Ene, and one of his first duties was to visit Governor Samuel Ortom, who he commended for what he described as sustained support to security agencies.
Benue State has been on the news for obvious reasons in recent times, and having gone through a series of security crises, peace is gradually returning to the state. And to ensure the relative peace is sustained, a new commissioner of police is now in charge of security operations in the state. Okon Ene lauded Governor Ortom for the successes recorded in security operations in the state.
I am going to establish a dedicated community policing unit in all the local governments in Benue. That is what I've been directed to do. And within the next 2 to 3, 4 weeks, a workshop is going to be organized where we will take community policing ideals to the traditional rulers, the youth, women, and our local people. To them, again, my approach is going to be mostly proactive. I will not sit down and wait until it happens. Then fire brigade approach will come. And that will lead me to intelligence-led policing.
In his response, Governor Ortom expressed optimism that the new police commissioner will bring his experience to bear in tackling the security challenges in the state. Ortom charged the new commissioner of police to be professional in the discharge of his duties.
Let me use this opportunity of your comment to say that yes, we have issues like you have rightly pointed out. You are not a stranger in our land. You know the security issues, the criminal elements. You even know them, even by name, and where they come from and what they are doing already to the people. The local criminality that is going on about kidnappings and armed robberies and killings. But like you said, and I want to agree with you, that you have the capacity to contend with them. I want to assure you that within our limited resources, we will do everything to support you to ensure we provide security for lives and property.
Now that the new commissioner has taken over in Benue State, the consensus among residents is that their lives will be better protected going forward.
The Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom has appointed Veronica Onyekere as the new head of service. Onyekere, who is from Ogbadigbo local government area of the state, was until her elevation the permanent secretary office of the deputy governor. She takes over from engineer George Ede, who is to proceed on retirement. Veronica has become the first female substantive head of service since the creation of Benue State. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission on Thursday said it had arrested a former federal budget officer for allegedly receiving 5.5 million naira bribe. ICPC spokesperson Rashidat Okodua identified the suspect as Harry Oyibo in a statement issued in Abuja. According to the statement, Oyibo, who was formerly with the Budget Office of the Federation, is at the moment with the Ministry of Niger Delta. She said a preliminary investigation by the Commission revealed that Oyibo received the money to facilitate the rescue and release of funds budgeted for the Federal Medical Center, Lokoja, between 2014 and 2015. Okodua alleged that the inducement came from the Director of Finance and Accounts, Sule Utu, and 3 other members of staff of the center. According to her, the suspect was at the time acting as a liaison officer within the budget office and the medical center. And finally, on the news this hour, the federal government has started disbursing interest-free soft loans to petty traders in Abuja. Vice President EMU Shibaju made this known at the Garaki Ultramodern Market in Abuja. He explained that the traders would have access to more funds if they pay back in 6 months. The scheme is to be implemented by the Bank of Industry and is designed to target 2 million petty traders across the country.
So for now, we'll give 10,000. If you pay back in 6 months, then in fact you can pay back before 6 months. Then you get 15. If you pay back, you get 20. We want to encourage traders, petty, so that they will have money, enough money to do their business, enough money to sell. We have done the one before of the bigger traders. That one is cheap, 100,000, 120,000. But we will do that if you do well with the 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, then we can increase it. Everybody, every one of us can benefit from this thing. The president himself has said that he wants to make sure that those who are selling in the markets, those who are selling small items, small things, the person where they sell pepper, the one where they sell snail, the one where they sell sugar cane, the one where they sell tomato. Now those kind of people, we won't give the money. So when we have given you the money, we want you to make sure you pay back. No interest. There is no interest. You just take it and you pay back within 6 months. So I want all of us to make sure that we register so that we can be given the money. Is that okay? Is that okay? Well,
and that's all on the news this hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Aisha Jibrin.
Tribal mark is the scratching, etching, burning or cutting designs, pictures or words into the skin as a permanent body notification or modification.
The practice of tribal marks have been in existence for hundreds of years, and they are not peculiar to Nigeria, not even Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, tribal identification and facial stripes became important as many repatriated slaves later reunited with their communities.
For innovative research-based analysis, fresh news and programs, join us on PTV, the People's Oriented Station, transmitting on Star Times Channel 120, showing across 36 states in Nigeria, and Channel 77 on Strong Decoder across 52 countries. Yes, you asked for it. Now you have the best of television. You can also follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen. People's Television, powered by you.
Soldiers helping Nigerian soldiers fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislatures.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have said
there had hardly been any administration.
Practitioner will explain the kind of justice
no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
We got a 24/7 light, we got water, we got the best amenities,
And when I don't feel like going out, I just watch TV.
Nice. Star Times, right?
Come on, man. Can you get Fox TV on Star Times? Ebony Live TV? Discovery Family? Please.
Yes, no.
We get all that and more channels safe. The Star Times Classic Bouquet Reloaded is the best deal.
The best?
Well, if you're paying over 10,000 Naira for a cable plan, then it has to be good.
Thank you, kid. We pay 1.9.
Choose it.
Get the best deals on channels like Fox TV, Ebony Live TV, ST Nollywood Plus, Discovery Family, and much more with Star Times Classic Bouquet Reloaded for only 1,900 Naira from September 1st to October 31st, 2018. Don't miss out on all the drama, action, and comedy on Star Times. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
And welcome to Kissing Africana. I'm your host Lilian Ogazi. Now today I have an amazing chef and a very short, interesting meal. This week again.
Yeah, this week again we have something super amazing.
Okay, last week was amazing and then this week it is super amazing. So what are we preparing this week that is super amazing?
What we have to make today is called Ikira Nyicho. Now, Icho is the name for what I am.
Okay.
Then Ikira is the Ikira made from Icho. So
what is Ikira first? This is Ikira made from Icho.
The name given to
sounds like Akara.
Yes, but I don't want to use the word Akara because in my language we call it Ikira.
So Ikira Nyicho.
Yes, that's to cakes made from what I am.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces to fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislatures.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have
There had hardly been any administration.
Practitioner well explains the end of justice
Under the law, no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is
financial responsibility through the enforcement of all extant laws on economic and financial crimes. Since its creation in 2003, the Commission has successfully carried out this mandate with several milestones recorded, including the delisting of Nigeria from the list of non-cooperative countries and territories (NCCT) by the Financial Action Task Force in June 2006. Due to its unrelenting efforts in the war against graft, the EFCC has become a reference point among law enforcement agencies both home and abroad. Ibrahim Mustafa Magu, a commissioner of police, became the acting chairman of the EFCC on November 11, 2015, after taking over the arms of affairs from Ibrahim Lamurde. Magu is one of the founding staff of the EFCC, who served as the head of the Economic Governance Unit during the tenure of Nuhu Ribadu, the pioneer chairman of the EFCC. Since Magu assumed office as the acting chairman, he has been unwavering in his commitment to change the narrative as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. His first challenge on taking the reins of affairs was to address the dwindling fortunes of the Commission by initiating reforms that has ushered in a radically improved work ethics within the Commission. Convinced that an organization perceived to be corrupt cannot fight corruption, integrity issues were addressed by ensuring that round pegs were placed in round holes in terms of postings to sensitive operations position. To ensure that only the best are offered employment into the Commission, the recruitment processes were also reviewed. Several measures including aptitude tests, interviews, polygraph examinations, and vetting of candidate certificates and background were introduced amongst others. New cadet intakes employed by the Commission are thereafter sent to the Nigeria Defense Academy in Kaduna for rigorous law enforcement training. Fully conscious of the growing sophistication of economic crimes and corruption, an inventory of the existing operations architecture was taken, which resulted in the creation of new units to address emerging challenges in criminality. New zonal offices were also created in Ibadan, Kaduna, Benin, and Uyo, while the Maiduguri office was reopened to improve accessibility of the public to the Commission. The EFCC new head office complex, whose construction was abandoned due to lack of funds, was also given priority. Upon his assumption of office, all avenues were employed to raise funds for the completion of the project. With the support of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and the 8th National Assembly, Julius Berger, the construction company handling the project, returned to site and the building has now been completed. In the area of operations, the Commission sent a forceful message that impunity will no longer be condoned by taking on the high and mighty in the society. One of the flanks of war being waged by the Ibrahim Magu-led EFCC is leading an investigation into the arms procurement deal saga, allegedly involving top serving and retired military generals and political leaders. For the very first time in the history of Nigeria, senior military officers, including former service chiefs, a number of serving and retired generals, their civilian counterparts, former ministers, governors, and several politicians were investigated and arraigned for allegedly diverting over $15 billion meant for the procurement of arms to combat Boko Haram insurgency in northeast Nigeria. Also arrested and arraigned was Colonel Sambo Dasuki, a former security advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan. While the alleged free stealing and sharing lasted, hundreds of soldiers were dying on the battlefield. Thousands of innocent lives lost. Women were raped and abducted. Children were rendered orphans, and properties and houses worth billions of naira were destroyed. The 2 million displaced people in camps across the country, while being thankful for their lives, contend with the harsh realities of survival. In many other parts of the country, compatriots continue to live in fear, grief, pains, and sorrow. As the sufferings continued, a few individuals far away in the big cities wined and dined on what is now being called blood money. Investigations by the EFCC revealed that, for instance, in a single stream of transaction, the sum of $2.1 billion moved through the office of a one-time national security advisor to those of several individuals for fictitious services that were never rendered. The money allegedly found its ways into huge private estates of certain individuals, and they acquired properties worth billions of naira across the country, even as some allegedly stock millions of dollars in their wardrobes.
How much do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. It is estimated to be $50,000. Yes, 10,000 per punch. 50. 100. 150. 100. 250. 350. 400. 450. 500. 550. 600. 650. 700, 750, 800,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 500, 1 million.
As an agency determined to ensure that corrupt elements are denied access to the proceeds of their crime, the EFCC, in a calculated raid, combed every nook and cranny of the country to confiscate assets traced to the missing funds. In Abuja, Nigeria, for example, several properties worth over 10 billion naira traced to the retired and serving generals allegedly involved in the arms deal were marked and confiscated by the EFCC. And in highbrow areas in Lagos, Nigeria, the EFCC also traced and confiscated a number of choice properties linked to the culprits of the arms scandal. Apart from the arms deal fraud, the Commission moved into the oil industry. The country's oil subsidy regime, which was characterized by massive corruption, was investigated, and many corrupt oil marketers were arrested and arraigned. The subsidy fraud, which was perpetrated in connivance with government officials, drained the country's treasury of billions of naira, allegedly claimed by criminals for petroleum products that were never supplied. The EFCC recorded a major milestone in the prosecution of these defaulters with the conviction of the trial of Walter Wagbasoma, Chairman, Ontario Oil and Gas Limited, Ada Ugo Ngadi, Managing Director of the company, and Jibril Rawaye, Managing Director, Brila Energy Limited, to 10 years imprisonment. But perhaps the most audacious oil sector investigation is the one involving a former Petroleum Resources Minister, Desiani Alison Madueke, and her cronies over various improprieties running into several millions of dollars. In the course of the investigation, operatives of the EFCC recovered cash and jewelries worth millions of dollars from her Abuja home. Other properties worth over $50 million linked to Desiani across Nigeria have now been forfeited to the federal government. While these revelations rankle, most Nigerians were also shocked to learn about how the country's patrimony was frittered in bribes for vote schemes in the 2015 general election. The investigation, which is still ongoing, has witnessed the interrogation and prosecution of a number of politicians, former federal ministers, and INEC officials, amongst others. Investigations by the EFCC into the public service system also revealed that Nigeria lost billions of naira to the ghost worker syndrome. a corrupt practice that injected thousands of non-existing workers into the government payroll system. The syndicate behind this monumental fraud was busted, which led to the government saving over 200 billion naira as nearly 50,000 ghost workers were removed from government payroll system. Still in the efforts to check leakages, the federal government, in a directive issued in 2015, called for the reinforcement of the Treasury Single Account (TSA). The directive ordered all ministries, departments and agencies of government to commence payment of all government revenues into the TSA accounts. The EFCC again keyed into this pronouncement. Operatives of the Commission, in a swift investigation, discovered over 100 billion naira hidden away by defaulting agencies. This calculated move now saves the government over 24 billion naira monthly. The Commission's investigation activities received a further boost with the coming into force of the federal government's whistleblower policy. The policy, which was initiated in December 2016, is primarily to support the fight against financial crimes and corruption by increasing exposure of financial crimes and rewarding whistleblowers. The EFCC quickly created reporting portals via its social media platforms at Official EFCC and through dedicated phone lines. The very first call which came through led to the discovery of $9.8 million hidden in the slums of Sabon Tasha, Kaduna State. The money is said to belong to Dr. Andrew Yakubu, a former group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. The funds are under an interim forfeiture order, even as Yakubu challenged the court order. Still in Kaduna, following a tip-off, the EFCC also intercepted the sum of about 250 million naira in sacks at the Kaduna International Airport after the bags were sighted unattended to. In Lagos, another tip from a whistleblower led to the interception of 250 million naira in various currencies at a popular textile market in the city. And in the shopping plaza located in the highbrow area of Victoria Island, also in Lagos, the sum of about 500 million naira was also uncovered. The most unbelievable discovery was, however, that of Asban Towers, also in Ikoyi, Lagos, where a whopping cache of over 13 billion naira in local and foreign currencies were discovered in an apartment on the 7th floor of the towers. These funds have now been forfeited to the federal government. In addition to cash and properties, the EFCC Eagle Eyes also cited and recovered several vehicles suspected to be proceeds of crime. Amongst them are 17 vehicles linked to a former Comptroller General of Customs, Abdullah Idiko Inde. The EFCC also waged into the over 20 billion naira pension scam. Several individuals alleged to have stolen pension funds and laundered them were arrested and are currently facing charges. Notably amongst them is Sani Shoaibu Tedi, a former Director of Pension Accounts, Office of the Heads of Civil Service of the Federation, and the suspended Director General of the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAR, Nelly Meshak. Serving judges and very senior lawyers are equally standing trial for corruption. They include Justice Rita Ajumagobia and Justice Nwali S. Unguta, amongst others. Also been prosecuted are senior advocates of Nigeria, SAN, including Ricky Tapa and Joseph Nwobike, amongst others. Joseph Nwobike has, however, been convicted to 12 months imprisonment for perversion of justice. Serving and former heads of government agencies also felt the EFCC squeeze. Patrick Akpobolokemi, a former Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, and 8 others are being prosecuted on the 40 counts charged bordering on money laundering and stealing. Others are Abba Moro, former Minister of Interior, and Steve Orosai, former heads of service, who are also standing trial for offences ranging from recruitment and pension fraud. Former state governors are also being prosecuted for various offences. They include Joshua Dariye, former governor of Plateau State, Jolly Inyame, former governor of Taraba State, Oji Uzo Kalu, former governor of Abia State, and Ikedi Oakim, former governor of Imo State. Others are Alao Akala, former governor of Oyo State, Murtala Inyako, former governor of Adamawa State, alongside his son Abdulaziz Inyako, Ibrahim Shema, former governor of Katsina State, Sele Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State, and his sons Aminu and Mustafa, and their Benue State counterpart Gabriel Suswan and his finance commissioner Omodachi Okolobia. In terms of convictions, the EFCC recorded about 500 convictions from 2015, when the present administration came on board, to May 2018. Those convicted include a former governor of Adamawa State, Bala Ingelari, to 5 years in jail for procurement fraud, though later upturned by the appeal court, but the EFCC has since filed an appeal against the ruling. A former local government chairman in Kogi State, Gabriel Daudu, was sentenced to 5 years in jail for money laundering, and 3 oil marketers, Walter Wagbasona, Ada Ugo Ngadi, and Jibril Rawaye, alongside their companies, were also sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for oil subsidy fraud. Other notable convictions include that of Accountant General of Kebbi State, Mohammed Arzika Aikengari, who bagged 70 years imprisonment for his involvement in over 1 billion naira fraud. An undergraduate of Kuala Lumpur Metropolitan University, Malaysia, Hope Olusegun Aroke, was sentenced to 24 years imprisonment for his involvement in internet fraud. The Commission also secured an extradition order from Justice Abdul Kafarati of the Federal High Court in Abuja for the extradition of Franca Asemota, a Nigerian fugitive, to the United Kingdom for offences bordering on trafficking of minors, and 9 foreigners alongside their vessel MT Asterix to 5 years imprisonment for illegal oil bunkering. This is just to mention a few. In the area of international collaborations, the EFCC has also been actively involved in the efforts to repatriate stolen Nigerian assets abroad. These calculated exercises has seen the Commission engaging countries that are believed to be nest of stolen assets. Despite the modest impact that the Commission's enforcement efforts have recorded, the Commission is of the firm belief that law enforcement actions alone cannot win the war against corruption in Nigeria. To this extent, the EFCC gave a boost to its preventive mandate by creating various sensitization programs in order to educate and enlighten the public about the ills of corruption. Awareness roadworks are organized quarterly in order to draw more attention to the anti-graft fight. The Commission also airs anti-corruption programs on leading radio and television networks in Nigeria, even as the social media has been fully embraced as a vehicle for mobilization and information dissemination. Through its Enlightenment and Reorientation Unit, the EFCC has created various enlightenment programs for schools, youth, women groups, religious bodies, and other government agencies. And in a bid to draw more attention to the crusade, the Commission has also embraced the use of music by organizing musical concerts across the country. The Clean Hands campaign was also launched in Abuja and across other geopolitical zones. The program was designed to promote the values of integrity and probity among the younger generation. The Creative Youth Initiative was also unveiled in October 2016. The idea was conceived out of the need to give children a platform to express themselves using arts and various talents in order to speak against corruption. Women Against Corruption, also known as WAC, was added to the EFCC campaign strategy with the flag-off of the program in Abuja by wife of the President, Hajia Aisha Buhari, in December 2016. The same program was rolled out in February 2017 in Lagos with wives of all the southwestern governors and notable society women present at the event. Other geopolitical zones are built to follow soon. For its unrelenting efforts in championing the war against corruption in Nigeria, the EFCC has received several commendations both home and abroad. In August 2017, the EFCC was rated as the most effective government agency in Nigeria in a report conducted by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. The City People magazine, during its 20th City People Awards for Excellence, also recognized the Commission as the most effective government agency in the country for the year 2016. Magu was also honored with the 2016 Person of the Year award by Leadership newspapers. Indeed, slowly but steadily, the anti-graft agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agencies within and outside the country. Global confidence has been restored as several donor organizations and foreign law enforcement agencies collaborate with the EFCC, which is opening fresh lines of partnership and collaboration. The EFCC has displayed that courage and dedicated leadership can bring an end to the menace of corruption in Nigeria. And going by the President Muhammadu Buhari's words, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. Let us all rise to this challenge.
Indeed, slowly but surely, the Anti-Graft Agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agency within and outside of the country. It is believed that all Nigerians will support the EFCC in its quest for a corrupt-free Nigeria. Please join the fight, as the responsibility is a collective one. And that's all we have for you on this episode of The Eagle. You too can be part of this program by sending your inquiries and suggestions to The Eagle at efccnigeria.org, or search for us on Google Plus at Official EFCC, Official EFCCNG@gmail.com. You can like our page on facebook.com/Official EFCC, or follow us on Twitter at Official EFCC. And of course, you can visit our Instagram page at Official EFCC. To watch our programs and other activities, please log on to youtube.com/Official EFCC. My name is Aisha Mohammed, hoping to see you next week. Always remember that a public office is a public trust, and do not abuse positions of trust for private gains. Goodbye, and God bless Nigeria.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislatures.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have
There had hardly been any administration.
Practitioner, well explains the kind of justice about
no religious body in Nigeria. Validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is
usual, I am excited today. Like, AY has done a whole lot for people. I'm not just his baby mama, I am his manager. And we all know that Wizkid had he had numbers of baby mamas. And
he said you don't need some leaders of the National Assembly.
The worst form of democracy is said to be better than the best form of military regime.
We are trying to build political blocks.
Just days after he defected from your party, I believe is the politics taken too far.
Members of the new board of Police Service Commission.
You know, that's also the fact that his seat should be declared vacant because we have some states that have experienced, you know, some level of insecurity.
The headship or the leadership of the Senate or the House of Representatives.
But I have gone beyond that now, beyond partisanship.
I don't think a lot of you know the crisis in